Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Call the meeting to order. 5:41. This is the Mendon Select Board meeting, February 26th. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, adding and deleting items to the agenda. We have the municipal planning grant contract with Rutland Regional Planning Commission for update. We also will delete the February 12th, 2024 minutes until further notice. And Sarah, do we have a check warrant? Is the payroll also? Does that need to be added?
You have a date for that payroll?
Well, it says 2/20/24 to 2/20/24, so I don't.
And the amount on that?
The $13,032.30.
$13,032.32?
30 cents.
Oh, 30 cents. Okay, that can be added to the agenda.
I believe that's it for adding or deleting, unless anyone else. Okay, I'll make a motion to add the contract, the municipal planning grant contract with Rutland Regional Planning Commission, and we will add the payroll for the week of February 20th, 24, and deleting February 12th meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
And Sarah, am I making another motion to accept the agenda with those changes?
That's what you just did.
Okay, I didn't know if there were two separate. Okay, moving on to administrative matters. The signing of orders and approving orders for 2/26/24, the check warrant for $24,185.07, and payroll for $13,032.30.
Second that, Bob.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we've had time to go over the minutes for January 22nd and February 6th, 2024. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for both of those meetings. All in favor, say aye. Oh, you didn't.
Yeah, seconded.
All
And
in
aye.
favor? Aye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, announcements. Our town meeting is March 4th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the V-Trans building located at 61 Valley View, Mendon. And the polls open at the town office March 5th and are open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Any other announcements?
Sarah, point of information, can caller number 1 be identified?
Yeah,
Caller number
Justin
1 was
Lindholm.
identified as
Okay.
Justin, yeah.
Hi, Justin. Thank you.
And for public comment, we have 2 minutes per person, please.
You're kidding.
No, Rich. Do we have any
I'd like
public
to comment.
comments? Justin?
Yes,
Okay.
I'd like to comment. It's hard on the phone to see whether I'm in line or getting in somebody's way. I'd like to talk about something I discovered. I actually knew about this and talked to the town about it months ago because I've been on a very hot board where we've actually had death threats. In fact, recently they've had 3 death threats around that board. Sufficient Wildlife Board, and they told me they used a law, which, not being a lawyer, I couldn't find it, and I finally found it the other day. It is a law in Vermont that keeps government running well without getting screwed up and messed up so that we can't even do government. This law is 13 VSA, Statute 1026. It prohibits public inconvenience or annoyance, which includes the abuse of or obscene language. The penalty is up to 60 days in jail and a $500 fine. This includes constantly repetitive talk and constantly talking over an explanation or an answer. It is very important law and something the town should probably look into and pay attention to. It's recommended to give a person who violates this a warning before either ejecting them from a meeting or arresting them. Very rarely do they need to be arrested. They straighten out or whatever. And this person is told when they leave, or if they have to leave, or if they have to keep quiet because they can't behave, that they can assign a representative to speak for them, or they can send their message in writing. So they still get to communicate, but they're going to have to do it in a different way. The difficult persons, they're everywhere. I've dealt with several of them right up in Chittenden. I had a fellow that tried to take over a town road in Chittenden. I told him he couldn't, and when I went up there with my Jeep, he pushed me off the road with his truck. So we all get into big problems. I've had 3 death threats against me. I had one person come after me with a club. The important thing is to record everything. I've told the town about this before. It is important to record. You should have a recording device that can immediately be used at any time. If you get a death threat and you have it recorded, you now have power. You have no power if it is not recorded, but you actually not only is he going to be punished criminally, but civilly you can sue the daylights out of that person in court for civil damages, which is very interesting. That keeps people from doing it, and it only needs one person to do the recording to know about it. This is a one-party state. You don't accept on the internet and by telephone. I think I've said enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justin. Do we have any other public comments?
Yes.
Rich? Is that Rich?
Yes.
When could we please, for everyone, just state your name before you start to speak? Thank you very much.
Sure, this is Rich Carlson. I'm going to go very quickly. It is tradition in the East Ridge Acres Homeowner Association to conduct our annual meetings at the Mendon Town Hall. This year, our meeting was scheduled for January 25th, and prior to the meeting, I was informed that a law enforcement officer must be present for safety reasons. A few days later, I was informed that no one was available. The following day, I contacted J.J. Bixby, who's the captain, number 2 person in the Sheriff's Department. Captain Bixby called me back within an hour of that same very day with a deputy sheriff with a fee of $75 per hour, which I paid out of my own pocket. I'm a taxpayer. I should not be required to pay that expense for a situation that I did not create. So that was 1 minute, and I'd like to stop there for any discussion. No discussion?
I don't believe there needs to be a discussion.
Okay, I have 1 minute left. There is no discussion on my comments. First of all, I'm very disappointed. And I will go on to another point, if I may.
Sure, Rich, go for it.
Let me keep my start button again. Sarah, this question is directed to you. I sent you a packet, excuse me, of information using the town's outside lockbox. It's been over a month without a response. Can you comment on that?
You had submitted a request for this town to support an application under the Rural Vermont Fire Protection Task Force grant. The select board did discuss that at the last meeting and elected not to support that particular request. We've been in touch with Troy Dare, which I believe you have as well, and he provided an explanation that his program only pays for maintenance of dry hydrants and replacement of dry hydrants when they are broke or unusable. And that the Rutland City Fire Department has tested the 2 dry hydrants in Eastridge Acres, and they are both functioning appropriately. The issues that you're experiencing in the ponds is sediment based on lack of maintenance of the ponds.
Well, first of all, I'm disappointed, Sarah. It's taken me to be here tonight at the town meeting, the select board meeting, to get a response, because I haven't heard from you in over a month. And it was Troy Dare, Sarah, that recommended that I file a different application to file for a repair grant. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, I have the email from Troy Dare, and I'm happy to forward that to you, Rich.
Well, I had
And this-
talked to him at a later point, and he said that you would be contacting me, and I hadn't heard anything until now. So explain.
The email that we received from Troy Dare was January 30th.
Well, I think it would be better, Sarah, if you can either call me, text me, email me, and respond to me. I have not heard a single word from you, and I put a lot of time and energy into what I did, dropped it in the lockbox, and with instructions where you're done with it to return it back to me, and you didn't do that.
Rich, I'll take fault also. I could have emailed you the response when the select board was discussing that, and I apologize. I didn't send that to you.
Well, this is not you may think it's a done deal, but I'd like to continue that conversation, because I'm giving advice from Troy Dare and you're telling me otherwise. But anyway, I've got a few seconds left, and I'd like to continue, if I may. Okay.
I think it's been 2 minutes, but
No, that was Sarah's response. That's not my comments. And these are very easy things. One is, are there any uncatalogued ARPA funds available? Yes or no?
we have not used or allocated all of our ARPA funds at this time.
My question is, are there any unused funds available?
And my answer was we have not allocated all of that money. So yes, Rich.
You know, 2 years have elapsed, and during that time, with inflation and everything, you know, the cost of what you may be trying to accomplish probably has increased by 50, 75%. And the longer you hold off in spending that money, just creates an additional financial burden or not a good use of the funds.
I think when you take time making decisions, that's very important. Not to rush into the cookie jar and spend the money as soon as you do get it.
And my last thing is, it's a quick thing, is several months ago, I inquired about a replacement sign for Neighborhood Watch, you know, as a deterrent for somebody coming into our neighborhood and posing issues. I was informed by the town of Mendon that they didn't have any more signs and they weren't going to renew their supply, your supply. I asked for reorder information, which was never sent to me because I'll buy a sign. And that's all I have. Thank you.
I see a hand up. Carol, Brian,
Yep, afternoon.
good afternoon.
So I'm just wanted to ask why we're having two public hearings at the same time, more meetings. I can't attend both at once. There's another one going on as we speak. I don't know why we have two meetings at the same time. There's a ZBA meeting going on right now, public, but the public can't attend. Right now you got to make a choice on which one I want to watch.
So the
I
town of
apologize. I
Mendon
don't
Select,
schedules.
the select board doesn't have control over the zoning board of adjustment schedule.
I
This
got
is
you.
our regular meeting.
So I was going to have a comment about Justin Lindholm's comment. What happens when somebody makes false accusations and puts that in public? When there
That's
hasn't
why you
been any,
record everything.
there hasn't been any threats or anything, Justin. So I don't know why you're spouting off.
Well, if everything's recorded, it's right there. Otherwise,
Yeah, well,
it's one person against another. And
right,
I
but
won't be,
that's insinuating someone without proof, correct?
Not if it's recorded.
Well, if it was recorded, there'd be retributions to that person, wouldn't there be?
Yes.
How come there hasn't been?
I'm not the Vermont State Police. That's not my area.
Well, it must be because you actually took it upon yourself to go third party and go to the police. Did you not, Val?
Oh, absolutely, I did.
Okay, so if somebody else in the town has a problem, they should come to you and you're gonna take care of that, correct? Now,
I can't take care of it, but I can pay attention to it.
I got you. So it sounds like there's a lot of false accusations going on out there. You should clear it up. The town office is closed for no reason, except for the people not to go to work. We're paying everybody and there's like 8 hours of work going on. Everybody's sitting at home. It's not right for any resident.
That's a false accusation.
No, it is not a false accusation.
You don't have proof. We're not arguing over this. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
DePaulo's keeps a pretty good track of who's there and who's not, and there's nobody there most of the time.
Well, we did not hire him to do that.
No, but we can all see, we'll go by, there's nobody there on Mondays, Wednesdays.
Are we finished here?
Only 4 hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and only
You're making accusations,
and
Brian.
only a couple women show up. How come Sarah doesn't go to work?
Okay. Are there any other public comments?
I'm just thinking everybody should go to work if we have to pay them.
You're making a lot of accusations and it's over. Is there anybody else that has a public comment?
Have a nice night.
You also.
Val, I'm leaving this meeting, but I'm a little disappointed because there are a lot of questions or comments, and there are no responses. And,
There never is.
well, I'm not going there, sir, but anyway, have a good evening and thanks for your
Good night.
time. Bye.
Good night. If there are no other further comments, we are moving on to business. And first up is the Route 4 scoping study, preferred alternatives recommendation by the local steering committee. I'll read a brief paragraph describing what that is and make a motion after that. The town of Mendon is working with VHB to develop a comprehensive vision and thoughtful recommendations for improvements to enhance safety for all users along and across the US Route 4 corridor while enhancing access and aesthetics to the village district and recreational resources. The need for the scoping study is driven by the deficiencies in the current transportation infrastructure and a need for comprehensive corridor planning. In October 2023, VHB presented a range of alternatives for the town's consideration. The project's local steering committee will present their recommendation for selection of a preferred alternative. VHB will then proceed to complete the scoping report, which will include development of a cost estimate for planning, design, construction, and maintenance for the selected alternative. The project will conclude with a final public meeting to present the draft scoping report, followed by submission of the final report. I'll make a motion to accept the local steering committee's recommendation for the preferred alternative. I will also read these. They are in phases according also to the segments 1, 2, and 3. In phase 1, segment 1 from Rutland Town to Meadow Lake Drive, alternative 1, on a road bike pedestrian access via travel lane reduction with widened shoulder, with access management, climbing lane reductions, pedestrian crossing signage, gateway, and public transit improvements. Also in phase 1, segment 2, heading up the hill from Meadow Lake Drive to Midway Road, alternative 1 with access management and gateway improvements. In phase 1, segment 3, from Medway Road to Killington, access management and pedestrian crossing signage at the Appalachian Long Trail crossing. Moving on to phase 2, segment 3, let me read segment 1 first, please. From Rutland Town to Meadow Lake Drive, alternative 3, off-road bike pedestrian access via 8-inch wide shared use path on the north side of Route 4. And phase 2, segment 3, from Medway Road to Killington, alternative 1, on-road bike pedestrian access via travel lane reduction with widened shoulder, with climbing lane reductions, additional pedestrian snowmobile crossing signage, and public transit improvements.
Is that all, Val?
Yes, and the motion's on the table.
Okay. I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on, letter B under business, the town meeting preparation and presentations. Do we have any questions with the draft that was emailed to us, highlights and objectives? Seth?
I have nothing, Val, on that. It all looked good.
So just for preparation for who's doing what presentations at town meeting, Val, you expect to do a financial report, which would be one of the first things on the highlights and objectives. Seth, is there any other subject headings that you would like to discuss as a presentation?
Is it just kind of open court for that?
So let me just go
I
over
mean,
some of the headings from the highlights and objectives report.
yeah.
If Val does the overview of the current budget and the rollover of the $76,000 that was retained in the surplus highway funds from the end of last year, and then that we rolled the 96,000 into the fiscal year 24 taxes to reduce the amount of taxes to be collected. Once she goes over that, we're recapping what we accomplished this year, which was the conclusion and adoption of the local hazard mitigation plan. An overview of some of the infrastructure improvements, which included over $166,000 in damage from the August 23 flooding event, which Rutland County did not reach the thresholds for qualified expenses under FEMA. So we received no FEMA assistance for that, even though the flooding event in other counties at the same time did receive assistance. So it's just a brief overview about the infrastructure improvements and what we will be looking for this summer, which is to continue with the grants and aid projects and applying for permits with the Better Roads program, the Structures program, and the Class 2 Highway Maintenance program. And so that is detailed in the infrastructure improvements. That we received an AARP winter placing grant that paid for 2 picnic tables down at the recreation area. The Transportation Alternatives Grant, which is the Route 4 scoping study that we just made a motion to accept the preferred alternatives, and where that stands in that process. I believe Fred Bagley also wanted to briefly talk about this as a member of the steering committee, that there will be a final public hearing on this once the VHB has an opportunity to finalize their report, which should occur sometime in April, but that date is still to be determined. And then we have a Homeland Security grant that was awarded to purchase emergency supplies to respond to acts of terrorism and cybersecurity. That totaled $14,158, and that was to pay for computers, a projector for presentations, and a shredder for securing documents. Then we also received a grant for the Emergency Operations Center. That was a grant that helped replace 50% of the cost of a backup power generator at the town office. We will be looking to apply for that same grant for a generator down at the town garage. And then Mendon was recently awarded the municipal planning grant. This again is something that maybe Fred wants to touch base on. As a member of the Planning Commission, Terry has asked him to report that we will be working on the zoning bylaws over the next year, and there'll be a number of opportunities for the public to be commenting on the zoning rewrite, and we'll be working with the Rutland Regional Planning Commission on that. The only other thing to do a brief overview on is the American Rescue Plan Act, which is the ARPA funds. To date, we must obligate the funds, which is decide how we're going to spend the money by December of 2024, with all money spent by December 2026. These are the funds that Rich had commented on during public comment. the select board has currently obligated $181,400 out of the $302,000 that we received. And there is a table included in the town report after the reserve funds that that spells out what projects have been obligated so far. So that would be beneficial information to provide as an overview of, you know, where the town stands with these particular projects.
Okay, so you would like me to just kind of continue through all of those, or would you, Val, you
So
got
I think we can break them up with the financial stuff versus
right?
maybe the regulatory stuff. One thing that we didn't touch on is that we've had a large amount of staff turnover this year. We would like to recognize Newt Jones and Bill Ellis for their years of service on the highway department. That is not an easy job, and they've sacrificed many holidays, weekends, nights with their families in order to perform that job. And to welcome that, we have 2 new employees on the highway department. Chris Baird is our new road commissioner, and Thane Beatty is our new road crew personnel that is also helping him out. We do have one position still up for hiring with the highway department, a full-time road crew position that we will be advertising and filling in the spring. And that report, the highlights and objectives, also talks about the other positions that have seen turnover this year, and we could do a recap of that at town meeting. So Seth, I think that if we sit down, we can go over talking about those overall headings of the highways, the highlights and objectives, and just determining which you would like to talk about, and then which ones Val is going to address, with allowing Fred to talk about the Route 4 scoping study and the municipal planning grant. We have reached out to Chris Grissons as the moderator of the town meeting, and he's got the overall authority to determine who speaks at town meeting with what presentations. He always lets the select board provide a financial overview, as well as the thank you to staff and volunteers that have assisted the town. But beyond that, it would be Chris that determines any other further presentations at town meeting.
Okay, I'm good with all that. So we'll get together here at some point sooner than later, I guess, and go over that stuff then.
Yep. So I'll do initial breakdown of the financial data and the other subjects to kind of, I'll send it out to you guys to see what your feedback is on who wants to do what presentations.
Okay, I'm good with that. Val, you good?
Yes.
Excellent.
And just a reminder that town meeting is Monday, March 4th, and it starts at 6 p.m. If you could be there by 5:30 in order to make sure that you're prepared and ready to go, that's appreciated.
All right, moving on. In business, the goals and objectives, 2023, 2024.
So at the last meeting, I provided an overview of where we stand with the goals and objectives for fiscal year 23 and going into fiscal year 24. Right after town meeting, with the election of the select board, we'll be adjusting and finalizing those priorities for working on them for the remainder of the year into the next, before the next town meeting. So I just wanted to check to see if you guys had any questions or needed any additional information about the goals and objectives.
I do not. Seth, is there anything you want to discuss?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Hopefully we can meet all those goals and objectives.
Well, it's a go-to list in order to determine where the priority projects are in Mendon and what to concentrate our time and effort on.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to letter D, the Rutland Free Library Letter of Support. Seth, did you have a chance to see this? I can quickly read it if you'd like. From Jonathan Reynolds.
Actually, Val, I did not. Could you read that real quick?
Sure. We got a draft letter. Which
I did amend this slightly, so it's a little bit different than Jonathan's report. So I just wanted to make that statement first.
Okay. I don't have the final draft. Do you mind if I read?
Oh, let me pull that out for you, hon. I'll pull it out. Just give me a second. Jonathan, if you have anything that you would like to say about the project while I'm doing that, feel free.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So following up on Jennifer Bagley's footsteps, I'm the new representative to the Rutland Free Library Board from the town of Mendon, and I'm simply being requested to have the select board sign a letter of support for the free library, simply that states the town's intent to support the library's request for a state grant to move forward in some renovations, essentially. The library is a very old building that is very inefficient and also has a lot of opportunity for expansion. So this letter that's being requested simply would state that Mendon supports the Rutland Free Library in applying for these grant dollars that come from the state and subsequently from the federal government. And that's sort of the high level gist of it. There's really no commitment financially. It's just that the town does support the library in moving forward with the grant application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. And I'll just read the letter now. This is addressed to the Vermont State Librarian with the Vermont Department of Libraries in Barre. The town of Mendon annually supports the Rutland Free Library as one of its members towns and for all of our residents and visitors to enjoy. The historic building at 10 Court Street needs major renovations, both in terms of maintaining the current structure and upgrading its mechanical systems, and in terms of its effectiveness as a library. The Mendon Select Board supports the Rutland Free Library's application for the U.S. Treasury Capital Projects Fund for Libraries Grant. The library is an integral part of the greater Rutland community, and the Select Board is pleased to see that the library moving forward with this project, which will secure its long-term viability in the 1858 courthouse and post office, home to the library since 1938. Thank you for your consideration in funding this important project. Sincerely, and it would be the Mendon Select Board.
Thank you.
So if we could entertain a motion to approve the letter of support for the library.
Sure. I will make a motion to support the letter of support from the Rutland Free Library.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, I believe that sums up the meeting.
No, we just have the Rutland Regional Planning Commission contract that we added to the agenda.
Thank you.
So just an overview here is the municipal planning grant was awarded to the town for $10,030. The town's responsibility is $1,003, with the remaining $9,000 being paid for by the grant. We contract with the Rutland Regional Planning Commission to assist the municipal plan, the Mendon Planning Commission in updating our zoning regulations to meet any state statute changes that are necessary, and guide them through the process of taking public comment for making an amendments to the zoning bylaws. So this contract is between Mendon and the Rutland Regional Planning Commission for the total grant amount of $10,030.
So I can make a motion to approve that municipal planning grant contract. No, that's not what it is.
Yep, with the RRPC.
With the Rutland Regional Planning Commission.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. And you don't need our amount in there that we're contributing?
No, I'll provide that in the overview, but it's, you'll sign the contract, which will be the binding agreement.
Okay. Do you want me to leave this in the office? I have it printed out.
You have the signature page of the agreement?
I do.
That would be great.
Seth, I'll drop that off, okay?
Yeah.
I'll put it in,
I'm sorry, no.
in your
You
mailbox.
put that in the box? Okay. Okay, great.
So it just needs the select board, the select board chair signature, Seth. So the motion to approve is okay with you. You don't need to stop by the office to sign that.
Okay.
Okay, I will adjourn this meeting at 6:24. I appreciate everyone who's joined. Thank you.